Miso and eggplant are a match made in heaven. But today I'm going to be showing you how to make a more hearty version of miso glazed eggplant, so stick around. Welcome back to No Recipes. I'm Mark Matsumoto and I'm here to show you how to elevate your everyday meals, so smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out. The term Dengaku refers to a traditional Japanese technique where ingredients like tofu or eggplant are smeared with some sweet and savory miso before being grilled. Nikumiso literally means meat miso, and it's usually used as a condiment on top of rice or with vegetables. Today we're going to be putting the two dishes together and stuffing some hollowed out eggplant with the sweet and savory Nikumiso. It's an autumn favorite here in Japan, so let's get started. Our ingredients are eggplants, vegetable oil, hatcho miso, sake, ground pork, sugar, ginger, and scallions. Let's start by making the sauce. I've got my hatcho miso here, and I'm gonna add the sake and the sugar. Then I'm gonna use a fork or a small whisk to mash up the miso and then whisk it together. I like using hatcho miso, which is sometimes labeled black miso. It gets its dark color from being aged for at least 2 years, and it has an intense, earthy flavor that works so well in Dengaku. If you can't find it, other types of miso will work, but just make sure it doesn't contain any additives like dashi, sugar, or MSG. Hatcho miso tends to be pretty firm, so it's gonna take a bit of elbow grease to mix this up, but it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth as long as there's no big lumps. This looks good enough. For the ginger, I'm gonna peel it using a spoon. This is the best way to peel ginger because it allows you to get into all the nooks and crannies. Piece of cake, right? Now I'm just gonna cut this into thin slices against the grain. And we're gonna line those slices up and cut them into strips. Then I'm gonna rotate the strips 45 degrees and mince them up. If you still have some big pieces in there, just go back over it a few times like this until your ginger is finely minced. Okay, let's go ahead and mince up some scallions. I've removed the roots, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut the scallions a little shorter and stack them up so this goes a little bit faster. Then we just need to mince them up. For the eggplant, you want to trim the tough stem end off both eggplants. Then I'm gonna use a peeler to remove alternating strips of skin. This not only gives it a neat pattern, it also makes it easier to eat as the skin can be tough to cut through using chopsticks. I'm using some small globe eggplants today, but any plump eggplant will work for this. Now you want to cut the round end off the eggplants. You should be able to stand them up on either end. If your eggplant is leaning to one side, don't worry, just trim one of the ends until it stands up straight. Next, we're gonna slice the eggplants in half. They should all be roughly the same height, and you want the fat end facing up. Now we're gonna use a small spoon to carve out the center. You wanna leave about a 1/2 inch border and start by marking a circle where you're gonna carve out the center. Then, just dig in and start removing the center to make a cup. Be sure to use your other hand to support the sides of the eggplant, otherwise they have a tendency to split open. You also want to make sure you leave about a 1/2 inch of eggplant at the bottom of the cup. Okay, let's do another one. Trace the outline, and then carve out the center. Okay, let's fry these up. I've got a pot of oil here heated to 150 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius. You want to add the eggplants one at a time and turn them around a few times to submerge all of the skin in the oil. This sets the purple color in the skin and prevents them from turning brown as they fry. You need the oil to be pretty deep to submerge the eggplant, so I like using a smaller pot and frying them in batches so I can use as little oil as possible. The eggplants are gonna wanna float, so just keep turning them around so they cook through evenly. They're usually done when they start turning a little brown around the edges, but you can test them by inserting a skewer into the bottom of the cup. It should pass through with almost no resistance. When they're done, just drain the eggplant on a paper towel lined rack with the carved side facing down and fry the rest of the eggplant. For the Nikumiso, I'm gonna start off by sauteing the ginger in some vegetable oil. Once that's nice and fragrant, just add the ground pork and use a spatula to crumble it up. If your pork is super fatty, you may want to use a paper towel to soak up any excess grease. When the pork is cooked most of the way through, add the miso sauce and we're gonna get a little steamy. You want to boil this together until the meat is cooked all the way through and most of the liquid has evaporated. That's looking perfect, and I wish you guys could smell this. Now, all we have to do is stuff the fried eggplant cups with the Nikumiso. Be sure to pack it in nice and tight so it keeps your eggplant plump. I'm gonna sprinkle this with a few scallions for garnish, and our Nikumiso Dengaku is done. Stuffed with savory pork coated in a sweet, earthy miso that's redolent of ginger, the rich, creamy eggplant makes for a stunning edible bowl. If you're entertaining, this can be prepared in advance and reheated, which makes it a great make-ahead entree that's sure to impress. Nikumiso Dengaku is a fun, self-contained entree that's delicious with a steaming hot bowl of rice, but it's also great in a bento box lunch, so I hope you'll give it a try. If you enjoyed this video, please support us by giving this a big thumbs up. And if you have friends that love a good eggplant dish, send them a link to this video so they can try it too. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching to the end. And if you haven't already, be sure to smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss my next delicious episode. Alright, I'm gonna go fix myself a bowl of rice to have with this Nikumiso Dengaku, but I'll catch you in the next one. Check us out on Instagram at No Recipes.